Aircon. Okay, hi guys. Welcome to sauce class. This is third class, third week. It's confusing, it really does. Zoom over here. Now I know you watched the video on making beef stocks, and we did it again because we're going to need a chicken stock for a veloute. The chicken bones are left over from the French cooking class, and I ordered some beef bones. So we can zoom in on this here. This is really nice. I really like this. As I told you before, it's a little red. You can see the red color. A little too much tomato paste, but it's acceptable. It's not bad. I'm doing the final skimming here. This is very nice. This went for 8.5 hours, and then I'm going to add the mirepoix, which we roasted yesterday. I had it in the refrigerator, so that goes in. And then the sachet de spice, which once again in my class doesn't really ever change. Yeah, they're small enough. Garlic, that's plenty of it. Thyme, chilgi. Oops. That's a lot of huchu. Bay leaves are fine. What's missing, boys? Something missing? Parsley stems. That's okay. That's the one thing with mistakes like this kind of stuff. Do this in school. Make these mistakes in school, because now you can always remember the parsley stems. You do it in a business, at a kitchen, and stuff like that. And show, what, you don't remember, or something wrong with you, or something. So once again, like once you add the mirepoix, you should bring it to a boil to kill off any bacteria that's been lurking around there. Chicken stock's done. We're going to strain that now. And generally in class, what we do, we kind of strain and use. Oh, look at that. That's really nice. But we don't need this today. We could use it today. Really could. What you do is you turn this off. This will drip for quite some time. You'll be surprised, actually. In class, a lot of times you do this and we dump it out, do this, dump it out. I'm going to just leave this here, and you'll see how much you produce. This chicken stock is really nice. Both stocks are nice. Yeah, that's really nice. It could be clearer, but remember in the beginning, we accidentally boiled the bones a little too long because we were doing something else. Oh, that's very nice. That's very nice. Guys want to taste? Okay, turn this down now. Do a nice simmer. Let that go for 1 more hour. Sure. And then, once again, I said in class, a lot of times when we're making stocks and stuff, we take them, we use them, and that's it. But we're not going to need this now, so you have to, this is basically liquid protein. This can spoil really, really quick. So the best way to cool it down, swing on over, is a nice ice bath. Be careful, because once again, you don't want to get water into the stock. The best thing, the safest thing anytime is to cool hot food fast and to heat cold food hot fast. Especially, this is very thin, this will cool very quickly, but if you have a demi-glace, it takes a while to cool into the center, so you have to keep stirring it. That will cool very quickly. Ladle. Now we put if you put it in the refrigerator, everything in the refrigerator will get warm. So this is the best thing to do before you put it in. And we're going to wrap it and label it. Actually, I'm going to freeze this because I'm not sure exactly when we're going to get to it. The problem with school here is that we meet once a week, and this sitting in the refrigerator for a week is not the best idea. Look at it that way. Swing on over here and take a look. Oh, the flames are on. Whoops. There's some there, not much. Many times this is breakfast in the morning. You come in the kitchen, chicken stock sitting out there. You spent the whole night drinking, you're hungover, you want something to eat, you're eating stock. Good. I like boiled chicken. Let's move on to our main event, the two main events. Butter and flour, 50-50. Obviously, we're making a roux. I'm making a little extra here. It's always good to have extra roux around. Now I'm going to need to make a white roux. What I have over here is a nice brown roux for the Espanol sauce. This I started yesterday, last video, if you remember. That's a nice peanut butter color. Yeah, that's a very nice roux. It smells like bread, you know, if you give it a whiff. Some people even say beer. Yeah. So you know what they're thinking about. Now, white roux, you have to be very careful about cooking in the aspect that, eesh. This is worth saving. There we go. Better. You'd hear the butter boiling off. We're going to make a whole butter roux out of this. I didn't make clarified butter like I did for the brown one. The reason why, if you remember from the last class, this you have to cook a lot longer, a lot hotter. The butter fat will burn. In a white roux, you're not going to cook it as hot and as long. Add the flour a little at a time. Break up any lumps. Now generally what I told you earlier is when I make roux, I usually make them a little tighter, meaning a little more flour, a little less butter. I prefer more of a thicker roux than that. But a thinner roux, this is really yellow. The butter's very yellow. A thinner roux mixes easier. Less problems. But more butter. More butter is more money, right? And more flavor though, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say it's all bad. Now the butter we get sometimes with New Zealand butter, this is I think a domestic product, has a lot more water in it, which is interesting. Because once again, what's water? What is water? What's water? Moil? What is it? It's cheap. No, like with the grinding like hamburger meat, you use the machine, you put gogi in, a little handful of rice, gogi, ice, and you got a lot of, water's heavy and cheap. You know what I mean? So if you can add it to a product, same with like tomato paste and sugar. Sugar is very cheap and very heavy. So you can add sugar to any kind of product. You're going to make it heavier and so you're gonna, and it costs you less to make. So it's cheating. It's not good. It's not good. But you can see the texture of this is now kind of, it looks like wet sand. Let's take a look at the brown roux here for a second, warm it up a bit. Yeah, the idea, it plop, and then slowly spread out. Obviously this one's been cooked much longer than this. And I'll put it on a plate. We're going to cook this a little longer. The problem with, like, once again, these pans and these stoves, they're very, very hot. Making a white roux is a little more difficult in some ways. Mogi! Oh, company. Now be careful with the roux too. This just gets very hot. It really does. This, I don't know what temperature this gets to, but you splash it on yourself, it can really hurt you. Well, that's going. We're going to start the bechamel. Okay, we got the roux going. Scalded milk, scalded whole milk meaning, and then be please. Not the low fat milk. This is what, 3.4%? I guess that's whole milk in Korean standards. Okay. Now scalding this is once again, it's a, well, yeah. Scalding means you bring it to one boil. And what that does, it changes the flavor of it. Now, Korean milk is like American milk. It's already scalded. A European, like a French person, drinks American milk or this type of milk. They taste it and say, oh, it tastes burnt. Because it's already pasteurized. Pasteurized, Alayo? You know, they take milk hot, kill bacteria. Yeah, all Korean milk, all Korean cheeses are all pasteurized. Yeah, what's a Korean word for that?
Killing bacteria?
Yeah, well, the process of heating milk. Louis Pasteur, yeah, France Saddam, right? Yeah. He worked actually with wine more than milk. His science was all about wine. Milk was a secondary thing. It's kind of funny, but he's known for his milk. Okay. Let me two same size bowls.
Big ones or small?
Pretty big ones, yeah. Yeah, that's fine. I'll just put on top. Now, even in that short time, I gotta be careful about this here. That short time of talking, see what happens? Started to brown. I mean, these stoves are so hot, and I'm being very careful about it. I'm watching it, and I just start talking about 5 seconds later, it starts to brown. Now, it's okay. Once again, it's not burning, obviously. But I want to show, this is a nice, what I call blonde roux. Put that there. This is a little thin, but it'll be fine for what we need it for. I usually like a little more flour in my roux. On the PowerPoint too, I talk about black roux. Black. Yeah, they almost burn it. It's a Cajun Creole cooking. New Orleans style cooking. It's only used in one thing, but it's used in a thing called gumbo. Gumbo is like, it's like jute. It's a rice soup that has sausage, chicken, shrimp in, tomato, but cooked like jute. It's really nice and it's spicy. It's something I'm surprised we don't see here in Korea, that type of Creole cooking. Okay, look at the price here, okay. I say this is a little thin. This is, yeah, it's really thin. It's still warm, but yeah, this is hot. This just came off the stove. And once again, both are acceptable. This should have more flour in it, but that's what we're making. That's fine. I don't want to run it away. Check this out. I bet this is cold already. Yeah, it's ice cold already. So we can get another Nembi. You know, since we're at cooking school and not really a restaurant, we don't have anything for storing stuff. We have no way of storing stuff any longer than 5 minutes. So you don't want to leave this in the aluminum, these pans. Because if you put it in the aluminum, leave it in there, it's going to start turning gray. What we're going to do with this, just put this in the freezer. And the whole thing in the freezer. When it's frozen, then I can lift it out and take it out of the pot. Okay, the milk is scalding. You ready? Now look over here. It's coming to a boil, right? Stir it a bit. Turn it off, let it settle down. Now we're going to do an onion piquant, which is once again on the PowerPoint. For you guys, you probably don't know it, but you've seen it. Generally, cut it this way. Doesn't matter. You see in the video the black from the. Once again, this is classical bechamel stuff. I guess it's kind of like a sachet de spice. Another clove. This is called a spike of clove or a nail of clove. You guys familiar with this spice?
Not that
No? It's if you have a toothache, take one. Take one. Bite it. Oh, yeah. Bite it. Just bite it and spit it out. Spit it out. Dentist. In ancient Egypt, they used this. You can even use it today if you have a toothache. If you apple, you rub it on there and. Right? You feel it? Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's very strong. That's why usually, like if I'm in class, I'm making bechamel for other classes. I really don't use that much, but classically, it's a classical flavor. Same thing with the nutmeg. The nutmeg is a very classical flavor, but in today's world, people really don't like it so much. So we're going to float this in here. Bring it over here. Now we're going to put it on a low heat. Now, originally, the scalding was to kill bacteria. The second now, it does add a little more like smoky flavor to it. It changes the flavor of it. And with the onions and the cloves, it's going to give it a little more earthy flavor. And then we're going to add some nutmeg. Very little nutmeg at that. I was telling the guys earlier that this is why you guys study English. It's because of nutmeg. In the 1700s, England and Holland, actually Amsterdam itself, fought a 150-year war over this spice. And it got to the point that there was only one island England controlled. Dutch controlled the rest of Indonesia, right? So they came up with a solution. They traded islands. And so Dutch wanted the island called Roon, R-O-O-N, Roon. They wanted that island. And the Dutch, they had an island in North America that they didn't care for anymore. It was Manhattan Island, New York. So they traded New York for this. And this is why you're speaking English and not Dutch. Because obviously if New York is speaking Dutch, we'd probably all be speaking Dutch, that's for sure. So that's why you learn that much. That's almost a full liter of milk. I saved a little milk because if once again you might have to make adjustments or anything like that. We don't need that much bechamel. If you look at it now, you can see it's what's called seething. It's just moving a little. I'm not cooking, I'm not boiling. I'm just kind of making young pâté, basically. And that, what builds up on top is protein from the milk. Now, Korean milk is really nice, actually. You guys have good milk. In France, it's unpasteurized, which is dangerous in some ways. In some ways, it's not. I got this onion. I might as well make an onion brulee. We don't really need it. This is a nice brown stock. It doesn't need any extra color. But in the notes, I have an onion brulee. And even this is, well, we could use this for some sauce making. Yeah, the bechamel's been almost done. We'll let that cook for a little while. 15 minutes or so, generally seething like that. We have a nice brown stock. If the stock is not brown enough, I think actually what we'll do, we'll probably strain this off now too. Another Nembi, please. Oh, no, I got this one. This one? Yeah. This has the chicken stock in it, that's fine. This just had chicken stock in it. I see no problem in straining that into that. You're gonna need a hand. This is my favorite cooking pot. Because stainless steel. We don't have a lot of stainless steel pots in here, and I really do. I like stainless steel. So I'm going to be pouring this, right? And really, once again, if you like your sous chef, you don't pour like this because it's a hand. You pour this way. That's an important point. No, because you burn your friend's hand. He's not going to like you anymore. Just give it a little shake. Oh, nice sauce. We got a lot of it. We're going to bring this to this one or that one. Which one will go in? This one. The chicken balls can be done too. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I got more. Not much more. Generally, you don't, especially white stocks, you don't squeeze them out. Brown stocks, you can squeeze them out because if you get a little carrot in there or something like that, that's not a big problem. But if you squeeze out a carrot into white stock, you're gonna have something orange, and you really don't want that. So once again, just shake it and then dump it. And put this back on the stove. Now, if you look at the milk, that's really nice. That's done now. Let's check out onion brulee. A little more brown. In the PowerPoint, the presentation, the first time I saw this, I was working with a French. Well, he wasn't a chef. He was a sous chef. He was a sauce chef, and my job was to cut mirepoix, roast bones. I was just beginning in school. I wasn't even in. I didn't go to cooking school yet. And he looks at the stock. And he goes, "Oh, brulee. Okay, he goes, you don't know?" I go, "No, I don't know what it is." He disappears and he comes back with one of these, but black, really black, and he throws it in the stock. And that's how I learned about it. He was yelling at me the whole time too, like, "Oh, how could you not know this?" Well, okay, it's easy enough not to know. Okay, so that's an onion brulee. Let that go a little longer. Where's this? I need this. We need to strain this off. in the freezer is another che. Bring that and bring another nembi over. Yeah, nembi. You're right. Yeah, we use a lot of pots. Sauce. That's why they call them sauce pots, right? Yeah, freezer. Strange place. Let's put this back together. Yeah. Wonder why it's in the freezer, right? This is extremely expensive. And if I leave it around, somebody's going to use it for something else. When I found this thing was just covered. And I soaked it in a oven cleaner, like 4 days. And it came out. This is a good chinois sauce chinois. This is a very nice one. We have a lot of these. And obviously you can see the two different, look how fine that is on there. So you put a sauce through, put both sauces through here. It makes them smooth and velvety. And you don't have any lumps or bumps or anything like that. And once again, when you talk about 5-star cooking, you really want a nice product. Scalding does that. You can see the milk protein on there, around that. Once again, we don't really need to do that today because milk is already clean, but 100 years ago you had to do it or you get cowpox. So you didn't want cowpox, that's for sure. I'm watching my brown stock come to a boil. Remember dépilage. Oh, we should have romanage. Bring it off to the side. Let the boiler get off the fat. Still a lot of oil on there. That's why the first skimming is very important. A lot of this is from the mirepoix. So remember we oiled the mirepoix when we roasted it, so that's where that secondary oil came from. Okay, turn it now. Scalded milk. Let's see what we got here. Interesting, there's a flavor there. I'm looking for my white roe. Here again. Now when adding roux, all sauce pots are made from stainless steel, not aluminum, because the length of cooking time. Nothing cooks in 5 minutes, if you notice. Everything is really long cooking times. And once again, you get a whip here and you start hitting the sides, you're going to be scraping off the aluminum and going to make your white sauce a gray sauce. So when adding the roux, first get it back to a simmer. This is a nice reduction going on there, by the way. Actually, I'll probably save some of that for demi-glace. We get the demi-glace today, too. Why not? Why not? So what I'm going to do is just, as little as possible, touch the metal. You can use the paddle as soon as you get it the pieces broken up into it. So what I'm going to do is scoop a little. There's more roux than you need, but you always need extra roux in the kitchen. You never really can just make the perfect amount. I never heard anybody saying that. Just do the perfect amount. And just slightly get it into it. Velouté is the one, I think, probably the most sauce I've ever made professionally in the kitchen. because velouté is great for sauces, it's great for soups. As with Korea, meat-based soups, meat-based cuisine is more important. This is pretty much a vegetarian item, I guess. I never used much. Vegetable puree soups I've used bechamel for. I never really, velouté seems to be the big one, in my experience, in my cooking career. Once again, your experience could be different. Now take a look at it. You can zero in on here. You can see how it gets a shiny look to it. It looks like a little piece of something, maybe a clove floating around, but that's fine. We're going to put it through chinois when we're done with cooking out the roux. Now, cooking time, once again, variation. You see some books say you must cook this for 30 minutes, that kind of thing. 10, 15 minutes, fine, at a very low simmer. I see no problem in that. But once again, every chef has their own idea. At this point now, you can use a paddle, so you don't have to worry about it. Turn it real low, because it will burn. We're going to add a little salt and pepper. Can we bring the salt over? What's the running time there?
31.
30 minutes?
31.
31, okay, that's fine. What I do, anytime you're cooking anything, now this is just the beginning sauce. This is not a finished sauce. We're going to make a cheese sauce out of it. It's going to reduce down, so that's why I saved a little extra milk, because in case we have to thin it out. This is perfect right now, as is. But if we put cheese in there, it's going to get really thick, so you have to put down. But it's always, we're going to use cheese, so you always, cheese is what? What is cheese? Taste.
Salty.
Salty. So you want to, once again, this is just a mother sauce, just a grand sauce. This is only the beginning. But you want to add a little seasoning in there or it'd be really bland and you wouldn't know. You have a tendency of over seasoning things when you don't know. Okay, this is going to cook. This guy's ready. I'm going to let this cook until 1:45. That's it for this section. Okay, then we'll meet after we let this cook for a while. We'll set up step 2. Okay.